Hey everybody, this is First Alert Meteorologist Bob Trihy. Hope you're weathering the storm so far, and boy, it's been impressive. We saw several hours of rain earlier, and then we saw this rain change to snow and some heavy snow. And what we're looking at is snowfall total so far, and most places already have picked up at least an inch of snow. And let's go through the list right now. We're looking at Milton and Millsboro, both with an inch of snow. And we also have Lewis and Nassau checking in with 1.6, Bethany Beach 1.6, with Dagsboro and Stockley at 1.2, Ellendale a little less than an inch right now, and about a half an inch or so back into Laurel, Seaford, and Bridgeville as well. And once we saw that rain changing to snow, it really started coming down. And I was just talking to Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams, and we both concurred that we needed to bump up the snow totals, and that's exactly what we have done. And we're going 10 to 18 inches right now. Now, I think the 10-inch mark might be along the coast and maybe towards the 113 corridor, because I think we could be looking at some sleet that mixes in with the snow as we go into the evening hours as this powerhouse low continues to move our way. And I'm going to zoom out the view. So basically everybody from Sussex County, all of Delaware, Midshore, Eastern Shore, back through Wycomico County into Salisbury, everybody pretty much in that 10 to 18 inch range. Farther south, a little bit of a different story. I think we're looking at slightly less in the way of snow, about 5 to 10 inches from Crisfield over to the Chincoteague area. We were in a blizzard warning that went into effect at 1 p.m. and that continues for Sussex County, in fact, all of Delaware until Monday, 6 p.m. A blizzard warning means that we're looking at conditions that will bring visibilities less than a quarter mile, wind gusts of at least 35 miles per hour, and basically whiteout conditions. As we also have an offshore storm warning, that means we're going to be looking at winds gusting at least 60 miles per hour from the Delaware Bay down the coast of Delaware. And then once again, that blizzard warning continues for the Eastern Shore, Caroline, Kent, Queen Anne's, and Talbot counties until Monday, 6 p.m. And then a blizzard warning south and east of that from Somerset to Wycomico and Worcester counties. So basically everybody is under this blizzard warning, with the exception of Kent County, as they are under a winter storm warning. But we're all pretty much in the same boat as far as that goes. And now we're also going to be looking at coastal impacts too, because as this storm really starts to explode offshore, we're going to be looking at very strong northeast winds. That's going to pile up the water along the coast and those vulnerable spots, the inland bays, and you know who you are at the beaches when you typically flood during coastal storms. And at times of high tide between now and Monday evening, we could be looking at 1 to 2 foot water rises, especially at the time of high tide. And then farther south into Worcester County, we do have a high surf advisory. I think we could be looking at waves of at least 9 to 10 feet. Now we're going to take a look at Futurecast. I'm going to step through this basically hour by hour as we have the snow falling now, moderate to heavy across the area. And then as that rain changed to snow, we saw that dynamic cooling. So we started out in the upper 30s earlier this morning, and now we're into the low to mid 30s, and a lot of places that temperature hovering right around the freezing mark. So here is Futurecast at 4:30. You can see the different colors of purple, the deeper colors indicating the heavier snow around Georgetown and Seaford. Other areas not as heavy, but also note the arrows, how they change colors as we're starting to see these red arrows showing up. That is the very strong winds in association with the storm that is rapidly intensifying off the coast right now. And as we go through time, we'll go through this pretty much hour by hour. By 6:30, you can see we're in the moderate to heavy snow, Millsboro, Highway 9, Long Neck. Pretty much everybody is getting into that heavy snow. And this is the time that you should find your destination for the duration of the storm, because after this, that's when we start getting into the really heavy snow, the very strong winds, and those blizzard conditions. Here's 8 p.m. temperatures hovering right around that freezing mark. And that means this snow is moisture laden. It will be sticking to everything, power lines, trees, everything. And we could have weaker trees that fall down, power lines that fall down onto trees that fall down onto the power lines. And so once again, that's something we're going to have to keep in mind as we go through the evening hours. You can see the very strong winds continue overnight with the heavy snow. Then as we head towards the morning hours, we start to see that real steady snow become more of a snow shower kind of regime, and then we'll keep it kind of scatter snow showers through the morning hours, and then even some still hanging on into the afternoon. Then we finally get rid of this system by Monday evening. As we go region by region, we go from Seaford to Delmar and Salisbury, Millsboro, and as you see the clock moving, you can see the moderate to heavy snow, those very strong winds that turn from the north to the northwest, and then that very heavy snow as we continue through the overnight. And then by early tomorrow morning, then we start to see that snow becoming more in the way of scattered snow showers, and then that pretty much ending as we go into Monday evening. Also want to take a look at another area, and this is from Milton to Long Neck, Bethany Beach, and look at those arrows. Not only are they red, but they are moving very quickly. That's indicating those very strong winds that we could see in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So keep that in mind. And then as we go through the evening hours, you can see how those winds start to bend more to the northwest as we still see the very heavy snow. And then the winds shift northwest into Monday morning. And that's when the really heavy snow does start to end. And then we get into kind of scattered snow showers after that. Want to take a look at what the European model is thinking as far as snow totals. Now, this is as we go into late Tuesday and Wednesday. Berlin to Selbyville, Bethany Beach, around 8 inches, and about 5 to 8 inches here, a little bit farther to the west. Now, the reason it's a little lower is because I think we could be looking at some sleet mixing in with this snow, parts of Sussex County as we go through the evening hours, so that would definitely keep those snow totals down. And then here's another look. This is our in-house model. This is the graph model, and this is much higher, around 14 inches of snow in Selbyville, and about a foot of snow in the Bethany Beach area. And then as we look a little bit farther to the west, from Seaford to Milton and into Ellendale, we're looking at about 7 to 10 inches of snow. But it's going to be snowy everywhere. Let's go ahead and take a look at the satellite picture right now. You can see the moderate to heavy snow, some heavy snow from Rehoboth to Ocean View right now. And then we see the heavier snow back through the eastern shore. And that extends down into Salisbury and Ocean Pines as well. And then we're looking at this area of low pressure offshore. It's starting to get its act together just off the Carolina coast. And I've been looking at some of these models that have it almost with an eye as we head into the overnight hours. That's how powerful the storm is. As you can see, the rain pretty much transitioning to snow all across the area right now. And let's go ahead and take a look at some other angles. So here's the low pressure area, and this is going to take on what's called Bombogenesis, as this low will explode as it moves over the water. You're going to be hearing it in the newscasts, national news, bomb cyclone. Yeah, so that's what this will become, a very intense area of low pressure. And you can see it's already starting to do that off of Cape Hatteras right now, and that's bringing the very strong winds, snow, and rain to the area right now. I do want to show you kind of a wider view of Futurecast, and I want to step you through this as we're looking at the very heavy snow. Once again, travel is not recommended as we go through the evening into your Monday morning with very heavy snow. And look at that eye, or the center of the storm, basically a couple of 100 miles east of Chincoteague as we go into tonight, as that storm really wraps up and it gets really tight and intense, and we're seeing the snow that will gradually start to wind down as we go into Monday morning. And we have about a minute left, and I just want to kind of recap where we are in case you're just joining us. I want to go over the upgraded snow totals. We're looking at about 10 to 18 inches is what we're expecting. Probably lower numbers at the coast towards the 113 corridor as we're looking at some sleet mixing in with that system. And then a little bit farther to the south, we're looking at about 5 to 10 inches farther south on the peninsula. So keep that in mind. And once again, travel is not recommended as we have a blizzard warning as we go into Monday evening for Sussex County. The eastern shore also points south too. Storm warning offshore as well. So, you know, you don't want to fool around with this kind of storm. You want to hunker down if you can, and make sure you stay safe in this blizzard. Once again, travel is not recommended as we go through the next several hours. And as I mentioned earlier, the winds will be very gusty, and they'll be gusting perhaps over 50 to 60 miles per hour as we go through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. So be safe out there, and we'll keep you updated on socials and, of course, online on the 11 p.m. news on Coast TV. Stay safe out there. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Bob Trihy.